Nurse at Night with Barry Poorman. He said, Richard, what are you taking typing for? I said, that's a stupid question. I don't know how to type. And then he said, look at your fingers. He said, you're going to be a great typist. Barry, I hate to disappoint you, but never really quite turned out that way. And nonetheless, I got to Delaware because my choir director, the great Robert Page, out of Temple University, alerted me to the fact that somebody from a place called Newport, Delaware was looking for a music teacher. I had no clue where this was. I sat in the train station in North Philadelphia, waiting for the SEPTA train to take me back to Bristol, my hometown in Bucks County. And I looked at the phone booths along the wall, and I said, I wonder if Mr. Page, well, it's Dr. Page now, I wonder if Mr. Page is still in his office. This was 4:20, now listen to me, this is a true story. This was about 4:15, 4:20 on a Friday afternoon. I went to the payphone, put the dime in, does that tell you how long ago it was? And called his office, and sure enough, I know the Lord's hand was in this. I know it. He should not have been in that office on a Friday afternoon at 4:20. He was, he gave me the number, I called the school, they brought me down for an interview, and Carol's not going to remember.
Oh yes.
Carol's not going to remember this. There were two people at the interview that day. And do you guys remember, really wonderful gentleman, Jack Kahn? Some of you will. Yeah, Mr. Kahn retired shortly after I got here, but I met with him, I met with Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simmons was too busy to meet with me because of those lunatic junior high school students. And I met with Mr. Humphrey. And there was a young lady there. And Mr. Kahn suggested that we go down to the music room. They wanted us to see the music room. I thought that was pretty cool. But I didn't know there was a class in there. And Mr. Humphrey came in, Mr. Simpson, Mr. Kahn, this young lady who was from Wilmington, and myself. And as we sat there, Mr. Kahn whispered to the two of us, I will ask you to teach a lesson in 5 minutes. I was perspiring so much, I was hoping that my deodorant would hold up. I said, what the devil am I going to do? And I'm thinking about my methods class. Finally, he said, okay, who wants to go first? I quickly said, ladies first. Up she went, and she did a very fine job. And then I went up, and I actually remember, I taught, it was a 3rd grade class, and I taught a song called My Little Burro, and I used those rhythm instruments, and I had to dance with it. And anyhow, I asked the girl, I said, how do I get to the Wilmington train station? She said, oh, my mother will drive me. I said, no, I don't want to put anybody out, just tell me where do I get a bus here in town? She said, please come with us. And I got in the back seat, and her mother, and I remember where this happened. Of course, Mr. Simpson I guess he pulled a few strings to get that cannon or something up, you know, on Maryland Avenue there. Just as we were pulling out of the school and up and around the curve, the mother said, how did you do? She said, I did very well. And she paused for just a brief moment, and she turned around in the back seat, and she looked at me, and she said, but you got the job. Excuse me? She said, you got the job. And within 48 to 72 hours, I got a phone call from Mr. Kahn offering me the job. And the embarrassing thing was, I wasn't quite 21, so my father had to co-sign. But here's what I did. I waited till I was 21 so I could do it myself. And I see so many wonderful faces here. And so you folks, You bring back so many memories. Ah, yes. You're so right. Stay after class, I want to see you. But I'm going to say just one more thing because I truly mean it. I was supposed to teach in Philadelphia, and that's a long story. When Louis finally came back from his Bahama winter vacation. So I know the Lord's hand was here. He brought me to you. And I know this much. When I count my blessings, I count you guys twice.
We do too.
Amen.
Every time it rains, pennies from heaven. And don't you know every cloud contains pennies from heaven? You'll find your fortunes folding all over town. Make sure that your umbrella is upside down. Trade them for a package of sunshine and flowers. And if you want the things you love, you gotta have showers. So when you hear it thunder, don't run under a tree. There'll be pennies from heaven for you. And for let's do it. Sunshine and flowers. And if you want the things you love, well, ask the Lord for showers. So when you hear it thunder, don't run under a tree. There'll be pennies from heaven for you. Pennies from heaven for me. Pennies from heaven for you. Save some for me. Every once in a while when the class came in, I always started each class, as some of you will remember, with some patriotic tune. I felt that that was important. My country, mostly that. But sometimes I wanted to tease with the group, and so I would do a tune, and I believe was it Mr. Rainey? Maybe it was Bob Rainey who said they were studying the Old West. Somebody was doing something, and I found this ballad. Now, there's a part in this song that I'm going to ask you to help me with. When I say now, I want everybody to clap their hands to the beat, okay? Very simple. Let's practice it. Gotta have a rehearsal. Now. Very good. Mr. Humphrey did a heck of a job making keep a beat. Here we go. This is a story about one of the West's most notorious, most bloodthirsty, most cutthroat outlaws you have ever seen. This is the true story of Jesse James. And it goes and it happened just like this. Jesse James was a man who killed many a man. He robbed the Glendale train. Oh, but that dirty little coward, how he shot Mr. Howard. He's laid poor Jesse in his grave. Now, Jesse had a wife, she mourned for his life. 3 children, they were brave. But that dirty little coward, how he shot Mr. Howard. He's laid poor Jesse in his grave. Now the song says that dirty coward that shot Mr. Howard. Well, we all knew who he was. He was Jesse James, but when he became an outlaw, he became Jesse Howard. And the song says the coward that shot Mr. Howard, because when Jesse James was shot and killed, he was shot in the back. And the man who shot Jesse James in the back, his name?
Bob Ford.
Who was it?
Bob Ford.
Who was it?
Bob Ford.
Did you all hear that? You're half right. I'll give you credit for it. It was Robert Ford, that dirty little coward. I'm wondering how he does feel. You see, he ate of Jesse's bread. He slept in Jesse's bed. He put him deep down in his grave. Get ready. Now, Jesse had a wife. She mourned for his life. 3 children, they were brave. But that dirty little coward, how he shot Mr. Howard. He's laid poor Jesse in his grave. Now, Jesse was not always an outlaw. He's out there fighting that Civil War. When he comes home, his mother is in tears. He said, "Ma, why are you crying?" She said, "Son." Well, actually, she said, "Son, it's the railroad. They stole my property." Jesse looked at his brother Frank. Frank looked at his brother Jesse, and he said, "Ma, don't worry. We're going to let the railroad pay rent." So they went out and they robbed the trains. On Wednesday night when the moon was shining bright, they robbed the Glendale train. With the agent on his knees, he delivered up the keys to the outlaws. Frank, Jesse James, come on now. Jesse had a wife, she mourned for his life. 3 children, they were brave. That dirty little coward shot Mr. Howard. He saved poor Jesse in his grave. Now Jesse, his mother was a very smart lady. She had no schooling, but she was a very smart lady. She said, "Son, whatever you do, don't turn your back on Robert Ford." He said, "Mom, I can outgun, outdraw, and outshoot Robert Ford." She said, "Son, I know it, he knows it, but what I'm saying is this. I don't like the look in his boy's eye." On a Saturday night, when Jesse wasn't home, he's talking to his family brave. Robert Ford came along like a thief in the night and put him deep down in his grave. Jesse had a wife, she mourned for his life. 3 children, they were brave. But that dirty little coward, how he shot Mr. Howard. He's laid poor Jesse in his grave. The people held their breath when they heard about Jesse's death. They said, "Hey, how'd he come to die?" It was one of his gang. It was a little Robert Ford. He shot him on the sly. Ready? Now, Jesse had a wife. She mourned for his life. 3 children, they were brave. But that dirty little coward, how he shot Mr. Howard. He laid poor Jesse. Join me now. Jesse had a wife. She mourned for his life. 3 children, they were brave. But that dirty little coward, he shot Mr. Howard. He's laid poor Jesse in. figure out ages here. But here's what happened. Jerry, tell him to keep quiet. Here's what happened. About 3 weekends ago, I went to my 50th high school reunion. Saw so many, well, thank you. Sounds like laughing. Remember that show, One Clap at the end? 50th classroom. Thank you. 2. Okay. That's good. Saw some folks I haven't seen in 50 years, and it was wonderful. And I asked about one girl from my high school class. Her name was Michelle. But I have to back up from high school to 7th grade, because once I got to high school, that's when I began to play professionally. And I never did go to a high school dance. But here's what happened in grade 7. And this is an absolute true story. Here we go. When I got to 7th grade, and I went to St. Anne's Parochial School right in my hometown, my little town of Bristol. I couldn't wait for that one announcement. And then it happened that morning. The nun said, "Boys and girls, this Friday night will be our first school dance of the new school year." Oh, I was excited. During lunchtime, we all talked about it. The next day, we all brought our 25 cents in. We bought our ticket to the first school dance. Now, folks, I went to every school dance every Friday night when I was in grade 7. And I never danced the dance. You gotta understand what happened. The girls sat over on that wall. The boys sat over on that wall. Now I know why they call them wallflowers. But then it became the kingpins. We were in 8th grade. We were the top guys in the school. And the nun said, "Boys and girls, this Friday night is our first school dance. And it only costs 30 cents. I said, "What?" I shouldn't tell you this. It was easy for me to get a quarter from my family. But that extra nickel, I don't know if some of you are going to remember that. But if you bought a bottle of Coke and you took the bottle back, you got 2 cents. I went up and down the alleys and I stole 3 Coke bottles. I got 6 cents. And every Friday night, I went to the school dance, and every Friday night, I never danced the dance. And this I'll never forget. Up on the stage, the microphone, and the DJ said, "Boys and girls, the next dance is a lady's choice." I turned to my cousin Mike, my cousin Bobby next to me. I said, "Bobby, what's that mean, a lady's choice?" He said, "That's where the girl asked you to dance." I said, "I'm not worried, I haven't danced in a year and a half." But I couldn't believe this. Girls, what the devil you took? They all stood, they looked like the Rockettes. They all stood up and they started to get into these little circles. And every once in a while I saw this. What could they be talking about? Some of the girls got up and they walked over here and they asked the guys to dance. Me, I'm not worried. Some of the girls here asked the guys to dance. I'm not worried. I'm there, but you have to understand something. I felt cool. And in my own mind, I think I looked cool at that 8th grade dance. Then all of a sudden, I look across that auditorium gymnasium floor, and I see Michelle. Looks like she's looking at me, but I'm not worried. And she starts her trek across the room. The closer she got, I could tell she was looking at me. I'm a little bit worried. And the closer she came, my head went almost, I can tell you my forehead almost touched the floor. The only reason I knew she was standing there is because I saw her feet. And then I heard those words. Richard, let's dance. Let's what? My voice rose real high. So I stood up, my friends are there, I gotta look cool, you know. And I walked out into that middle of that dance floor and I said, dear Lord, please do not allow me to step on her toes. And don't allow my sweaty palm to fall out of her hand. And I'll tell you with all the honesty I can muster, I remember nothing from that first dance. Nothing, zero. That's how petrified I was. But here's something I do remember. I remember the song. Darling, you send me. You send me. Darling, you send me. Honest to do. I thought it was infatuation, but oh, it's lasted so long. So here I am, wanting to marry you, take you home. At first I thought it was infatuation, but oh, it's lasted so long. So here I am, wanting to marry you and take you home. believe that you do. Pennsylvania, they're the only words I know. The Pennsylvania, apparently they're the only ones you know too. I think you might know this one. This was requested. Roll out the barrel. Sing out a song, good cheer. Now's the time to roll the barrel, because the gang's on. Yeah, you're all here.
We're signing off John Allison. John Allison. And John Allison has a blog called Kilroy Celery. John here? John, where are you? Well, anyway, John happened to get a hold of a recording of the Krebs Junior High School Band. It says right here, Carol Humphrey, director. This was recorded in 1962. And John Allison was kind enough to donate this to the Krebs reunion. They're selling raffle tickets over here, and I'm sure whoever wins it, that Mr. Humphrey, Carol Humphrey here, will be happy to autograph it for the winner. Now, and I got to tell you, Mr. de Blasio asked if any of the teachers had an impact, and no teacher had more of an impact on my life than the man right here next to me, Carol Humphrey. And I got to tell this story real quick, because I didn't go to Krebs all 9 years. I got transferred here in 1968 in the middle of a school year. And being the new kid, I was welcomed, and I got invited to go to a school dance, which was right here in this cafeteria. There happened to be a live band, and I happened to know somebody in the band. He said, Mike, why don't you get up and play drums with us? I got up and I played a couple of songs. I think I did Wipeout or something. The following Monday, I'm in homeroom, there's a knock on the door. The homeroom teacher comes and goes, Mike Bernardo, will you please come up? And they took me out in the hallway. I thought, you know, what did I do wrong? I've only been here a week. But out in the hallway was this man right here, Carol Humphrey. And he had chaperoned that dance that night, and he said, I heard you play drums, you're pretty good, I want you in the band. Why didn't you join the band? And I said, well, I didn't know I could join the band. He goes, well, you're in the band. He had already rearranged my schedule. He got my schedule, he rearranged all my classes so I could be in the band, which started a relationship with some people I've known for 50 years now, 40 years. You know, some of my best friends. From the Krebs band, I was in the Conrad band, which you know was the best high school band in the country at the time. Yeah. And a lot of it was due to the theater program, from the music program, Mr. de Blasio, Mr. Humphrey. Mr. Humphrey also went on to be the band director at H.B. DuPont. I was there the night he retired, and I wanted to get up and say something at that school board meeting, and he left before I had the chance. So I finally got the opportunity to say, thank you, Mr. Humphrey. You made an impact on my life like no other teacher did, and I know I'm not the only one. Thank you very much. All right, the band will be back in a few minutes. If you haven't got a raffle ticket, get over here to the table. I'm going to buy a couple myself because I'd love to have a copy of this. Thank you.
I know you feel the same way too. I want to make yesterday. Not as much as tomorrow. Funk Fest on stage. Time to test to find you, baby. So twirly day and twirly dawn. Look out, baby, 'cause here we come. Baby, your love is true. So get ready. Get ready. Coming out of you. So get ready. Get ready. Oh, don't you know I'm coming, baby? On my way, girl.
the job.
Okay, I'm
Go
gonna.
and videotape at the exact same time.
That's right. Okay.
Okay. Name. Melanie.
What's the number?
The number is 506-389. 506-389. That's Melanie. That's Melanie. There's Melanie. We have a winner.
Yay! All right.
Cash money. Oh, we have more. We have more contests here.
Oh, we're picking out the same one?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so it didn't matter. All right. Okay, this is for the album.
Okay.
Okay, the number is 506162. The winner is Janice.
Janice, I think she left.
Janice leaves.
506162. Janice, she did not put a phone number.
All right. Going once, twice, 3 times. Yes.
If I'm right, that's Janice Covington.
Okay, Covington? Okay. We'll see.
Janice Covington.
Yeah, I'll hold it. Then the other one is for the gift basket.
Oh, we got for the gift basket. Another one.
And then the Conrad block is the last one.
Get a shot at, okay.
Okay, number 506297. Shirley Andrews.
Come on down.
Just won the
That's
gift
for the
basket.
gift basket, guys.
Okay, Shirley just won the gift basket. And one more for Catch Me Out of Conrad. How many people bought those things?
Conrad block.
Parables.
I did. I
Yeah,
have
there's
one.
right there.
Somebody wants a Richie and a Krebs winner.
It's like a little black car. That's the Okay, Jim's going to pick for the Catch Me Out.
Okay, get a picture, okay.
And the winning ticket is 506001. The winner is, oh man, 60-year-old Rise. Tina Lattice? Tina Lattice.
All right.
This one Catch Me Out. We have our 50-50 winner, we have our album winner, we have our gift basket winner, and we have our Catch Me Out winner.
All right.
Hopefully we'll have it again next year, 214.
You want to say a few words, Linda?
I'd like to thank Mike Bernardo and the band,
Amen.
Fest,
Yay.
and
Yay.
Chris Shelley for doing the videography. He came all the way from Florida, so that's quite a bit of a distance. And folks far and near